Well, hello there and good morning from the Old West. And not just any part of the Old West, but the best part of the Old West. It's not the mighty Mississippi, it's the Magic Kingdom. You know what else it is? It's a sometimes vlog. Yeah. It's a vlog that happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens from Disneyland. Sometimes it happens from Disneyland Paris. This time it's happening from Walt Disney World. And I am right here standing on the old rickety suspension bridge on Tom Sawyer Island, waiting for the Liberty Belle, that's Belle with an E, you know, Belle is in a fine lady, to come cruising over here by Big Thunder and give us the money shot of the century. Let's see if we can back up. Oh, we got some people running across the bridge. It's bouncing up and down. Oh boy, that is the slowest steamboat on the river. Look at that thing. It's not gonna win any races. It's taking forever to approach. I wanna get that steamboat going right in front of the mountain. And yes, I'm taking a long time here, dilly-dallying. I didn't think it would take so long when I started the video. I thought it would be right here in 2 seconds. Here it comes. Here it comes. Yes, I'm bouncing on the bridge. We're bouncing, we're shaking, but it's coming. It's coming closer. Now I'm in Florida for actually quite a while. I'm going to be here in total, if you count how long I've already been here, for more than 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks in the beautiful state of Florida. And even though I was just here in December, I came back because I got invited by the same friends that actually brought me in December, who were out in California. We were out in Las Vegas. They came out here to do some business in Florida before going back across the Atlantic back to Europe. And that business included some group activities at Walt Disney World that involved, wow, look at the steam coming out of there. Woo, hello. That involved needing, because it's a big group of people, needing to use some very fancy suites at some of the Walt Disney World resorts, including one that I just filmed, and as I record this, just got uploaded and finished being edited today, even though there is an 8-minute, or not 8-minute, oh, that would be bad, an 8-second mistake, which feels like 8 minutes in a video of that kind of length. There's an 8-second mistake in the video, which is mortifying and embarrassing, but see if you can spot it. You'll know it when you see it. And that video was, of course, of a place I've seen before. 5 years ago, I got to go to the Grand Floridian Hotel and Spa, probably, the hotel and resort, and film the very suite that in 1993, August of 1993, none other than Princess Diana herself, along with her sons, Prince William, future King of England, and Prince Harry, future King of Netflix, who not only rode on good old Splash Mountain, that's now becoming Tiana's area over there, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but also Prince William rode Splash Mountain. Did you know this? You did if you saw the video already. 13 times in a row, making one of his security guards actually throw up some of his guts. Anyway, I'm here on Tom Sawyer Island now because I'm waiting for another suite. I'm waiting for another big, wait, did I even finish that thought? So anyway, I filmed the Princess Diana suite 5 years ago, and I got to go back into it now, which you'd think, why? You already did it before. Well, why not if you get invited into that place? It's not like I could just afford it anytime I want. And these people are only using the suite during the day, meetings and such, like a bunch of people, and they don't sleep in them. So when they leave at night, sometimes I get invited to go in and take a little gander, take a little sneak peek, you know, while they're finished and running around and sleeping at other, possibly even nicer hotels. Who knows? I'm not there with them. So, what was I gonna say? I did get to go back in. I did film the whole thing. The video is up now. I'm very excited. And I'm out here getting ready to film another epic Disney suite at a different hotel that they're going to be using. And that's what I'm waiting for now. The hotel room's not ready. Well, actually, it's not ready for me. They're over there using it. They got a big group over there conducting business, doing things. And I'm kind of waiting like for my invite, like, okay, we're cool. It could happen all the way at nighttime, like it did with Princess Diana. It could happen in 5 minutes. And so I've got a little bit, I think it's actually more likely to happen in 5 minutes. So I've got a little bitty time to spare here in the Magic Kingdom. I was gonna take you guys on a people mover ride, and then I got a hankering for a little Mark Twain action, which is why I came over to Tom Sawyer Island. And this is my absolute very favorite thing about Tom Sawyer Island in Florida. Tom Sawyer Island at Walt Disney World is the epic Fort Langhorne. Now, do you remember what the fort was called at Disneyland? It had a different name. I think the name is still on the sort of fake fort they have. It's got a fiberglass outside, but the inside of the fort at Disneyland has all been converted converted. Sorry, I didn't have time to build this vlog to scale or to paint it, and it is very much unedited, so you're gonna hear me stutter, and you're gonna hear my brain just ramble on at the mouth. Anyway, we've got like a fiberglass shell of a fort now, but the interior was all converted to dressing rooms and storage area for doing the big Fantasmic show on the rivers of America. But here in Florida, the old log fort remains, which is called Fort Langhorne, which is none other than Mark Twain's middle name. Now, he wasn't named Mark Langhorne Twain. His name was actually Samuel Langhorne Clemens, and Mark Twain was just a pen name. And by the way, that is Mark Twain there. Some people wondered if it's Saddam Hussein, Nikola Tesla, or maybe even worse. No, it's a stencil of Mark Twain that was on my old tour trailer when I was in a band called The Scarred. That's why my name is Justin Scarred, not Scared. And a bunch of us got this Mark Twain tattoo, a tattoo of the stencil that was on the trailer, on the van, but it was only on the van and on the trailer because I'm a big fan of Mark Twain, so it's Mark Twain. Anyway, the coolest part about this is not only do they still have the fort, and not only is it still epic, just like the entrance to Frontierland in Paris, which by the way was inspired by these log forts at Disneyland and Disney World, they actually have all these walkways upstairs. They've got all these kind of displays and dioramas. I don't think they're serving up any food in this fort anymore. I don't think there's any vittles over here, but they do have restrooms in the fort, just like they used to in Anaheim. And actually, the fort in Anaheim was near and dear to my heart. It was one of the few things, like when I was a kid at Disneyland, and obviously I was a kid in the 80s, I loved going to ride the People Mover. I didn't love riding the Sky Buckets, although, you know, it gives me a little nostalgia now. I think that's where my fear of heights came from. But one of the top things on my list was like, we've got to go on Tom Sawyer Island and see the fort. And of course, you know, your parents kind of resist, because Tom Sawyer Island, you got to take a raft over, and then the kids run around for ages, wild and free. And so parents are always like, are you sure you want to go over here, something a little more organized? But I always loved Tom Sawyer Island because of the fort. It captured my imagination. And weirdly, when my dad was in high school, he's got this long curly hair. I don't even know if he's wearing a shirt, but he's wearing some like vest. He's probably not shirtless, but they're wearing a vest. Him and his buddies looking all cool. Took some like band pictures, like some band photos over at Tom Sawyer Island. I guess I'll post those on my Instagram one day, or talk about them in a Patreon vlog or something like that, because I don't have them with me. But he did this whole photo shoot, like a band photo shoot over there. And so I remember thinking like, oh, cool. This is where my dad took his band photos. I don't think the group of guys he was with were actually a band. I think they kind of jammed together or something like that. But in my imagination, it was like, oh, the photo shoot on Tom Sawyer Island. And I remember that one of the photos they took was right in front of the girls' restroom. So it's like 4 dudes with their long hair and their cool 70s into early 80s high school rocker clothes. And then behind them, it's like girls, ooh, edgy, you know. So I really love that picture. It's very dated, it's very of its time, but I get a kick out of it every time it resurfaces at my parents' house. Look at this, you still have dioramas in here, you still have horses shaking their butts. This guy is doing the bellows over here. So you don't have a blacksmith shop at Disneyland, which should be a Disneyland weird thing, because every other Wild West, Old West theme park type of thing, almost the first thing that you would have is a blacksmith shop. Disneyland used to have a blacksmith shop in the 1950s. It was taken away subsequently, and it didn't matter because you had, you know, the old fort on the island could do your blacksmithing, just like it can here at Walt Disney World. So if you ever wondered, why doesn't Disney World have a blacksmith shop like every other Western attraction? It's because they do on this island, and he's got all the work he can handle. Apparently he makes house calls. He's all over the shop out here. So anyway, yeah, so you have the men's restroom there, and you still have these towers, these rifle roosts over here. Beyond the well is my favorite rifle roost over here above the blacksmith shop that still have rifles in them. Now that is definitely a relic of the past. Not only do they still have rifles in them sticking out of the portholes up there, whatever you call the portholes in a in a log fort. I know the name and I cannot think of it. In castles, when you have those little things, crenellations, the little arrow slits, I can't remember what those are called. What the heck are they called? Anyway, you can see, I think you can see, there's a cannon sticking out of that one. All right, so a couple of display cannons up there. And then you can see 2 rifle barrels sticking out of there. And if you squeeze the trigger up there, maybe I can cut in a shot over this if I get a chance to go up there when there aren't a bunch of kids up there. You squeeze the trigger, it goes pow, 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 it makes noise, and you're aiming straight over there at Big Thunder Mountain, so you can try and pick off the trains. I guess they're enemy trains or something like that. Runaway trains, shoot them and stop them and save the children. Maybe that's what's going on over there. So it's a little bit of a throwback. Well, not a little bit of a throwback, a lot of bit of a throwback. In fact, when I started coming to Disney World, only about, what, 10, the first time I ever came to Disney World was just about 15 years ago. And when I started filming Disney World was about 10 or 11 years ago. And even back then, even the first time I brought my son, when he was 7, so about 9 years ago, you could buy rifles, like brown and black looking rifles. And you could buy the orange, and most of them were painted orange and green. You could still buy like kind of pirate guns and stuff. And then Disney kind of got a little bit political, or peer pressured into no more toy guns at our park. So no more toy guns. And then at Disneyland, which, I mean, admittedly is in California, which has different views than the big majority of the country that comes to Disney World, much less that Disney World's in Florida. But California kind of removed almost every gun they could. For a while even, they didn't have the guns on the Jungle Cruise. I don't know what the reason was. Maybe they were all getting repaired, and people were, oh my gosh, California, they've gotten so PC, they removed the guns from the Jungle Cruise. But those are there still, those are back. Although I come out here and I have heard people out here asking, how come they took the guns out of the Jungle Cruise? Like, what are you talking about? They're still there. There's still a whip in Timothy's hand for Dumbo. So there's still some stuff there that people always were like, they took it out because of political correctness or whatever. But surprisingly, in Florida, they still have these. You can still pretend to fire a gun down over here across the rivers of America. Oh, they're talking over there. Big Thunder might be going up. By the way, it's a little bit crowded over here at Tom Sawyer Island. Usually I like coming over here as an escape. I haven't been over here for years, honestly, since long before the pandemic. But the reason that I liked to come over here back in the day is you get away from the crowds. It is packed in Magic Kingdom today. But Tom Sawyer Island, of course, was empty as usual. And then Big Thunder went down, and the entire line and the entire Fast Pass line emptied out. And because there was a parade blocking their exit, most of them got onto the rafts and came over here to the island. Anyway, I am so nostalgic for this fort. I really need to do a whole Tom Sawyer Island tour, and maybe I will on this trip, actually. I do have some old footage of the Disneyland one. I don't have a lot of footage or pictures of Tom Sawyer Island here at Magic Kingdom, and because I've only been coming here for a decade, I don't have a lot of first-hand knowledge of how this one has changed. I know a lot about the one at Disneyland, including the fact that Walt Disney actually physically drew the shape of the island and where he wanted all the different spots to be, little X's. I think that diagram's in the Family Museum, or it was on display there, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. The Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco. It was near and dear to his heart because, of course, he grew up in Missouri, and so he grew up on Mark Twain and the Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Mark Twain obviously being from Missouri. And I have to say, the Florida Tom Sawyer Island isn't just a throwback because of the fort. It's a lot more wild and woolly. Not everything is fiberglass. You could get a splinter. You could trip on a rock and fall down. It feels more wild and original the way that it was meant to be. It was meant to be a little bit of wilderness in the middle of the park, and a place you could send the kids over on the raft and they could run around and do all this crazy stuff. But anyway, I don't have a lot of first-hand knowledge about how this island has changed, and so more research required. If you have any old photos of Magic Kingdom, and specifically Tom Sawyer Island in the 70s, which I believe did not open in 71 with the rest of the park. I believe Tom Sawyer Island, actually, you know what, maybe we can go sneak up there and see those rifles. Tom Sawyer Island here opened in 1973. So a little bit after the opening of the park, which is the same thing in California. It opened in 57 or 8, where the park opened in 55, that kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you a whole history lesson. Anyway, if you have any old pictures of it, let me know. They put, ooh, here we go. Oh yes, we're gonna get a chance. Sorry for the condition of the blurry lens there. You hear that? They don't fire on their own. They squeeze the trigger, but you can fire off a whole bunch of rounds. These are automatic rifles. And look at that, pointed straight over there. So yeah, so I'm not sure what they've taken out of this one. In California, they took out the bouncing rock. They took out the whole fort. They took out they took out old Andrew Jackson in the fort in one of the dioramas. They took out all kinds of stuff. And of course, I remember what was there before. See, there's some of these where guns are missing. And actually, one of the first things to be removed from Tom Sawyer Island, I can't talk, in California, were, okay, let me start that over. Whew, and actually one of the first things removed from Tom Sawyer Island in California were the little guns in here, because unfortunately there was an accident. A little kid got their finger stuck in the ring. Wow, oh boy, it's getting busy in here. Got their finger stuck in the ring, their finger in the ringer of the gun, you know, where the trigger is, and it was a bad accident. So these ones don't have the whole, what do you call that? The trigger ring around them. It's just a little part of a trigger ring, so for that reason. But they actually kept the guns out here, which I'm impressed with and pleased by. It's a little piece of old school history, and let's face it, you know, it's awesome that a Wild West attraction exists that's a little bit realistic, you know. Disneyland was supposed to be dedicated to the myths, legends, and the hard facts that made America what it was. And those could be uncomfortable facts. They could be non-politically correct facts. It could be the fact that people had to use weapons back in the day. Anyway, I'm just glad the fort still exists. I'm just glad that it's here. And now I'm going to make my escape from it in a very old school and epic way. Another feature that the fort has here that they have closed up completely in California is the escape tunnel. And as it sounds, it leads you down underneath the fort into one of the networks of caves under Tom Sawyer Island. Now you can't see anything. This camera is not fit for the darkness, which is why I want to come back and do a different tour in the mine, or in the tunnels with the other camera. But there you go, you have some idea of the length of it just by how long it's taking us to get through it. It is a long, creepy, claustrophobic, spooky tunnel, which earlier was completely empty. And then, obviously, like I said, Big Thunder kind of highbucked us. And now we got all kinds of traffic in the tunnel. What a fun one. So, okay, I'm getting claustrophobic. Honestly, I don't usually get claustrophobic even in the Tom Sawyer Island caves, and I did bash my head back there pretty hard. Good thing you didn't see that. That would have been embarrassing. But look at that. It's an actual escape tunnel. Now, tell me what little kid hasn't dreamed of an escape tunnel? You know, fortresses. Disneyland and Disney World are amazing. Walt Disney knew what he was doing, and not just him, but his very creative and talented team of artists, Imagineers, planners, designers. Because what little boy, what little girl, I don't know about little girl, I was never a little girl, but what little boy, because I'm just speaking from my own experience, hasn't wanted to be a pirate or be, you know, in the old west, or, you know, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s anyway, play cowboy and all that kind of stuff. And secret tunnels, castles, forts, that stuff is right up my alley. So I'm enjoying the heck out of this. Even as an adult, I'm a 40-something-year-old man and I'm enjoying it. So I can only imagine what kids thought back in the 70s before they had their iPads. Okay, that is a sick sign. I'm gonna have to paint my own version of that. Anyway, there you go. I've escaped from the tunnel. Now I am here for another more than a week. And I'm going to be meeting up with my friend Adam DeWoo tomorrow for an epic, sick adventure. It won't be tomorrow as you see it. These are going to be a little bit delayed because I just put out that Princess Diana Suite video. I'm filming another video, and then this is going to come out in a day or two. So you might be able to go backwards to Adam's if you want spoilers and see the adventure that him and I have over on his channel. Then, of course, I'll have some footage, I hope, coming up sometime after that. I will be here for a while. I'll be roaming around the 4 parks, so if you spot me, feel free to say, hey, I do enjoy talking to people. Years ago, I was doing a live thing or a Periscope thing or something, and I was explaining like, oh, I wish people wouldn't run up and scream my name while I'm in the middle of getting a shot. You know, maybe I'm trying to be respectful and quiet. There's families around, and I'm kind of like just trying to shoot past them at like the Mark Twain riverboat or something like that. And then sometimes people would come, yes, and they start screaming, and then the cast members would get me in trouble. Back then, filming in the park was so weird. Nobody was doing it, so it was a very weird. I mean, now everyone's got their phone up, it's fine. But back in the day, you like really weren't supposed to be videotaping, or people didn't know if you were, so you could kind of get in trouble by the cast members. They were like, what are you doing? I don't know if we like that. And so if you were like, yeah, yes, yeah. There were some times where they approached me and actually told me like, hey, you can't do meet and greets in the park, which is not what I was doing, obviously. And And so I put it out there that like, hey, you know, if I'm holding up the camera and in the middle of a shot, middle of talking, maybe just wait till I put the camera down and then come up and just say hi. And then that got around a rumor that's like, oh, he hates people talking to him. I love saying hi to people. I love hugging people and saying hi. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing Midsummer Scream event the last couple of years and standing there, you know. We don't charge for autographs or photos. We don't make any money when we do that. We do that so we can meet all of you guys and hang out with you guys. And in fact, I'm actually doing a tiki marketplace in Southern California. I'll be posting it on my Instagram, all the details as we get closer. On March 9th in Garden Grove, California, I'll be doing the original tiki marketplace. That's what it's called. I got a whole bunch of wood carvings and stuff to sell. They cost like $200, $300, $400 each though. But even if you can't afford that or you're not interested in tiki stuff, come on down and say hi if you feel like saying hi. I don't know what the entrance fee is or anything like that, but I'll post all that on the Instagram. Anyway, yeah, Tom Sawyer Island. There's my plans for Florida. There's a little walkabout around Tom Sawyer Island. And sorry for the stuttering or spitting or brain farting or whatever I was doing. But there you go. I did the best that I could with the time I was given. And I felt my phone buzz a couple of times while I was walking around in there. Normally I have my notification silenced except for these few people. And nope. It's not ready yet. The suite's not ready yet. So I'm gonna keep wandering around here. I'm gonna look for some weird things. You guys see any weird things at Walt Disney World? I'm gonna look for some weird things. I'm gonna look for some stuff to do over these next couple of weeks. I have some ideas, but we're gonna see some, we're definitely gonna be seeing some epic hotel stays that you and I probably can't afford. Well, maybe you could afford, but I definitely could never afford. So I'm pretty excited to go in and check them out, because one thing about Disneyland, if you grow up with Disneyland, a lot, especially because it's such a more of a locals park and so many more local people grow up with it. A lot of us, like me, I never stayed in a Disneyland hotel growing up. I never stayed in any of the hotels near Disneyland Hotel growing up. In fact, when I get back to California, I'm going to start staying at all the different hotels around Disneyland whenever I can afford it, just so I actually know, because people have been asking me over the years, like, where should I stay? What's the best hotel for the price? I don't know. I've never stayed in a hotel. I grew up there. So hotels really weren't part of it. And even though Disneyland Hotel's kind of themed, it wasn't owned by Disney until what, the late 80s, early 90s. And it was owned by the Jack Rather Corporation. So Disney hotels weren't a thing there. Here at Disney World, though, as soon as you start to become a little bit of a Disney World person, you start to get obsessed with the whole monorail loop, the Polynesian, the Grand Floridian. It becomes part of the magic, part of the experience, part of the thing. And so now I'm fully into it. Like, I want to check out all the rooms and the suites and the remodels, and I want to see other hotels that aren't like on the monorail loop, you know, some of the Epcot resorts and stuff. So I'm always keen to check out any of the resorts. I'm not a DVC member, I can't afford that. Every once in a while somebody puts me up at a Disney hotel and I get really stoked to do it. I don't care if it's the Boardwalk, I don't care if it's Pop Century, I don't care if it's the Grand Floridian. I'm just excited to be on property, even though you can probably get a nicer hotel for a quarter of the price off property. In fact, Allie and I got a suite one time. They just upgraded us at the desk because they were like, hey, it's only like 20 more bucks for the suite. We're like, we'll get the suite. And it was huge. It had a living room and a kitchen and a bedroom. It was like this rad suite about, I don't know, like a mile or two north of Disney Springs. I can't remember what it was, but it was one of those stay suite, Marriott, stay bridge, inn, extended, I don't know what it was called. But I remember that was only like 120 bucks when like the cheapest Disney hotel was probably 200 bucks a night, I think, even for like Pop Century and stuff at that time when I was here. And I remember thinking, ooh, if I'm on my own dime, I might have to stay there. That was a pretty good deal. But I like checking out the Disney hotels when I can afford them, or when I can stay in them, or somebody invites me or whatever. I always like to check them out. I don't know why I keep talking about Disney hotels so much. I'm not plugging Disney hotels. I'm not an influencer. I don't sell any kind of lifestyle. I don't sell anybody's merch except for my own, obviously, which you can get at store.randomland.com. I don't want to sell people on some lifestyle. I don't want to work for other people's companies or promote their stuff, but I'm just a fan of things, and I like sharing what I'm a fan of, which is why sometimes you might see me in Hannibal, Missouri. Sometimes you might see me on Tom Sawyer Island. Sometimes you might see me on Route 66. Sometimes you might see me in France. You might see me anywhere. That's why it's called Random Land. Anyway, I better get out of here. The islands, for some reason, is getting even more full of people and families and kids and everything else. So I think we've done our duty anyways. I've rambled on at you long enough. One last look at old Fort Langhorne. But Tom Sawyer Island here's got a bunch of other stuff, I should say before we go, that is missing from Disneyland now. Like, not only more caves, since some of them have been closed at Disneyland, but you got the old grist mill here working. You got some stuff that wasn't ever at Disneyland, like the old grist mill. And you have a little fort for Tom and Huck. It's not up in a tree, but they at least still have their kind of clubhouse out here. God, that's beautiful. And look at this, you get the Haunted Mansion view over there. We didn't really look at the Haunted Mansion view. Hold on, we got some families coming. It's very hard not to get other people on camera. That's never what I want to do, but sometimes you can't help it in a place like this. There we go. Look at the beautiful Haunted Mansion view. Actually, it might be a little better in a second. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Look at that. Anyway, yeah, mostly just the fact that the fort is still there is enough for me. Like the fort being there still and all that, that just blows my mind. Tom and Huck have a fort. It's just still, it's not pirate themed or ruined. It's still Mark Twain / Tom Sawyer themed. They still reference Becky and Tom and Huck and Aunt Polly over there. Oh, look, the Barrel Bridge is closed. That's unusual. The barrel bridge is closed. How about that? Normally you got the pontoon little barrel bridge right there. Anyway, okay, I think we're out of time and I feel my pocket buzzing again, but I feel like we've done our duty. It's time to go home and sleep well. Please check out the links down below. Make sure you're still subscribed. People are saying to me all the time, I haven't seen one of your videos for months. Why aren't you filming any videos? When they bump into me, bro, I'm still uploading videos all the time. So make sure you keep an eye out, keep a weather eye open, and I'll see you all a little later.